Things have gone from bad to worse for Kash Patel, the embattled, beleaguered FBI director, he of all those self-inflicted wounds. You thought yesterday, when he was grilled to within an inch of his life by the senators, the Democratic senators, like Klobuchar, Schiff, Booker, and Blumenthal? Wait till you see what happened during the House committee hearing for the Judiciary Committee about providing oversight to the FBI and the questions he had to answer to Representative Ted Lieu about the Epstein matter. And wouldn't you know it, Legal AF, MeidasTouch's Legal AF, showed up on the giant screen because Ted Lieu used our interview, Sidney Blumenthal and Sean Wilentz, our court of history, their interview of Michael Wolff, the journalist, about things that he had found and things that he had observed in Jeffrey Epstein's home when he was thinking about doing a biography of Jeffrey Epstein and spoke to him for hundreds of hours, including photos of girls, naked girls, that were laid out like playing cards, according to Michael Wolff, in Jeffrey Epstein's apartment. Wasn't there a search warrant? What happened to the safe? What happened to the documents? What happened to the pictures? Those are things that Representative Lieu wanted to know, and he used Legal AF to get him there. Here's the clip.
Dr. Patel, for being here today. The FBI searched Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan residence, correct?
I believe that happened in 2018. I think there was 2 locations, sir.
2019, and in that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I don't have the catalog of evidence in front of me.
In that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I'll accept your representation.
Okay. And in that safe, the FBI found topless and lewd photographs of girls, correct?
Again, sir, I'll accept your representation. I don't know.
Thank you. It was all over the media at the time. There's a New York Times article that says Jeffrey Epstein is indicted on sex charges as discovery of nude photos is disclosed, dated July 8th, 2019. And the Times reports a trove of lewd photographs of girls was discovered in a safe inside financier Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Author Michael Wolff has conducted numerous interviews of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to play for you a video clip of what Michael Wolff said Epstein told him was in the safe and what he showed the author was in this safe. So let's please play that clip now.
Elected. And I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, "Wait a minute, I got to show you something." And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a stain on the front of his pants, and the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing.
See, sometimes we report on the news, and sometimes we help make the news. Obviously, somebody that knew our work, our body of work, and what we do on MeidasTouch and Legal AF, and decided, along with his staff, that that would be a good way to get Patel into questioning about Epstein. Now, let's talk about Kash Patel for a minute while we have your attention. Kash Patel is likely not going to survive these hearings. As I said, he's just the master of self-inflicted wounds. When you take what had been the proud history of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and you throw it into the morning trash the way they've done over the last 10 months, you find yourself here. When you get rid of all of your leadership and you fire the varsity and you fire the JV and you're left with no leaders, no one with institutional knowledge. When you take 1,500 people out of main FBI headquarters and you scatter them throughout America, including in Huntsville, Alabama, and you let people leave or you fire them, which leaves the FBI vulnerable because it doesn't have the institutional knowledge, it doesn't have the leadership, doesn't have the rank, doesn't have the file. Of course, when a disaster or some sort of event happens, like the shooting of one of their own, you're not prepared for it. You can't handle the manhunt. You don't want to drop the fork on your lemon chicken at Rayo's restaurant in New York. You don't want to go back to the FBI headquarters and properly quarterback because you've never been an FBI director. You've never been an FBI agent. You've never directed anything. I wouldn't let Kash Patel run a bath for me, let alone run the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And that's just about what happened a week ago with Charlie Kirk's shooting that he couldn't solve. If it wasn't for the mother of the suspect, he wouldn't be in custody today. Does anybody really believe that a Kash Patel-led FBI would have captured, after a manhunt, somebody that didn't want to be caught? No way. Then you've got the Epstein scandal, which we just saw a clip from, which doesn't have to be an Epstein scandal. It could just be us talking about all of the documents, the complete Epstein file released by Donald Trump. But Epstein scandal has taken on epic proportions because of the failure of people like Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and Kash Patel to be able to talk any sense into Donald Trump and release the files. When I bought my first home a long time ago, I'll be honest, I was excited, but I was also a little overwhelmed. Signing those papers, I realized just how much was on the line. If something happened to me, would my family be able to keep the house? Would they be able to cover the mortgage and bills without me? That's what pushed me to think seriously at the time about life insurance. That's why life insurance through Ethos makes so much sense. Ethos helps protect your family's future, and they make the whole process easy. The traditional way of getting life insurance can be frustrating and complicated, but Ethos is 100% online. You just have to answer a few health questions, and you can get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. In fact, you can even get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. It's more affordable than most people think. Some policies start as low as $2 a day, billed monthly. Plus, you can customize your coverage with options up to $3 million. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/legalaf. That's ethos.com/legalaf. The reason Donald Trump doesn't want the files released is obvious. His name is all over them. We can make that adverse inference, as we say in court. That's the inference that you're allowed to make if somebody's not producing the documents they're required to produce in court. The court will tell the jury, make an adverse inference that every one of those documents is bad for the person that's hiding them. Same thing here. That's the adverse inference that we're making. And they're not doing anything to avoid the adverse inference because they're not giving us the documents. Kash Patel actually said during yesterday's hearing that he has not reviewed the entirety or really reviewed the Epstein files at all. Let's take a look at that clip.
I want to ask you about the Epstein files. Have you seen the Epstein files?
I have not reviewed the entirety of it myself.
It is professional malpractice for you to stand in front of Congress, the Senate, or the House and tell them at this late date in September, when you promised the American people in February that you were going to leave no rock left unturned, that you were going to release every one of the documents. You're now in September and you haven't done that. And we know why. We know from other reporting and from admissions by Pam Bondi that she had the FBI and Kash Patel's people in March do a total review of every page and every document. They're even redacting Donald Trump's name. Then by May, she's briefing Donald Trump about what's in the Epstein files. And Kash Patel has the balls to come before Congress and say that he's not reviewed the Epstein files or hasn't been properly briefed on them. That alone should lead to his firing. But that's not the only things he said. He also said yesterday during the Senate that as far as he's concerned, for the files that he's not reviewed, which makes no sense, total non sequitur, I haven't reviewed the files, but for the files I haven't reviewed, there's no indication or no evidence that anyone other than Jeffrey Epstein raped girls. I mean, how can he conclude that if he says he hasn't reviewed the Epstein files?
You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
for the information that we have
In the files.
in the case file.
Okay.
And that's completely against everything that Donald Trump and MAGA are saying about Democrats being inside the files and being inside the files for having participated in the child sex trafficking ring. So which is it, everybody? But I think it is cosmic justice that we now have a moment where MeidasTouch and Legal AF have entered the hearing room because we're doing the reporting and providing the information to the Congress people to do their jobs, and we appreciate them, and they obviously appreciate us, and by extension, our audience. This is the 1-year anniversary today, the day that they played the Legal AF clip in Congress to grill Kash Patel is our 1-year anniversary. Talk about cosmic justice and the cosmos speaking. We started it 1 year ago today. And now look what's happened. But without the audience, none of this happens. I was talking to Sidney Blumenthal, who along with Sean Wilentz did that interview that Ted Lieu used just today and about it. And he said, if it wasn't for Legal AF, he would not have been able to bring on Michael Wolff or have Michael Wolff's video be seen in order for him to testify, if you will, about what he saw in the safe and in the Epstein apartment. And if it wasn't for our audience, we wouldn't have a Legal AF or a MeidasTouch. So it all goes back to you. We really appreciate you being here. I'm going to continue to do the reporting that's necessary. Come on over to Legal AF Substack and Legal AF YouTube channel, where you will see videos like the one that got used today in Congress. We do 10 videos a day, all at the intersection of law and politics. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.